Here I have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. In geometry, a square pyramid is a pyramid that has a square base and four lateral faces. Square pyramid A is similar to square pyramid B. The table gives a volume in cubic inches of the two pyramids. If the height of the square pyramid A is 8 inches, what is the perimeter of the square base of square pyramid B in inches? Round your answer to the nearest tenth of an inch. Okay, first let me take two square pyramids. Here we have two square pyramids. So there is a square pyramid A and square pyramid B. There is the base of each pyramid over here is a square. And also for square pyramid A, we have the height that is 8. Okay, let me mark it over here. And for square pyramid B, we don't have height. We can assume the lowercase h as a height for square pyramid B. And also let me assume a lowercase b as a length of each side of the square base. We have over here for the square pyramid B. Then we have b over here, because all the four sides are equal in a square. Okay, our aim is to get the perimeter of the square base of square pyramid B. That is, we have to get perimeter for the square base over here. For that, we have to multiply the length of one of the sides of this square by 4. Then we get 4b. So this 4b gives the perimeter of the square base of square pyramid B. Okay, here we need the value of b to get the perimeter of the square base. Okay, how do you have to get the value of b? For that, we can consider the volume of the square pyramid B. It's over here 5,488. So volume of square pyramid B equals to 5,488. So the formula to get a volume of a pyramid is 1 over 3 times base area times height. Okay, on the right side, we can write this value as it is, 5,488. So this capital B represents the base area. That is the area of the square base over here. And h is the height of the pyramid. Okay, here, since the base is a square, we can multiply the length of one of the sides by the length of the other side. That is b times b to get the area of the base. So the area of the square base is b square times height equals to 5,488. In this equation, there are two unknowns. One is this lowercase b and lowercase h. Our aim is to get the value of this lowercase b. For that, we need the height of the pyramid. Once we get the height of the pyramid, we can plug in that value over here and we can solve for b. Once we get the value of b, it can be multiplied by 4 to get the required perimeter. Okay, how do you have to get the value of height? Okay, now let's consider the heights of two pyramids. Actually, the heights of two pyramids are a pair of corresponding linear dimensions. Okay, now let me get the ratio of the heights of two pyramids. That is 8 to h. So we can say this is the ratio of the heights of two pyramids, or we can say this one as the ratio of the lengths of corresponding linear dimensions. Okay, from this ratio, I'll be able to get the ratio of the volumes of two pyramids. That is a volume of pyramid A and the volume of pyramid B. So this is the ratio of the volumes of two pyramids. Now to get the ratio of the volumes, what we have to do is we have to raise both the values to the power of 3. That is 8 to the third power to h to the third power. Okay, here 8 to the third power is 512 the value, and we can keep this h cube as it is. Already we have the volume of pyramid A, that is 16. We can plug in 16 for this BA, and also we have volume for the square pyramid B, that is 5,488. Let me plug in this. Okay, now we can write each ratio as a fraction. Then I'm getting 16 over 5,488 equals to 512 over h cube. Now we have to solve for h in this equation. For that, we can do cross multiplication. Then I'm getting 16 times h cube equals to 512 times 5,488. Okay, now let me divide both sides of this equation by 16. When I do so, this 16 will cancel. Then I'm getting h cube. And now we can evaluate the value of this one using calculator. So when I evaluate the value of this one using calculator, I'm getting 175,616. Now, to solve for h, we have to get rid of this exponent 3. For that, we have to take cube root on both sides. Okay, let me take it cube root on both sides. Okay, here on the left side, this cube root and cube will cancel. We get h on the left side. And the value of cube root of 175,616 is 56. So here I got the height of the square pyramid B, that is 56 inches. Okay, now using this height 56 inches, I will be able to get the length of one of the sides of the square base over here. Okay, now let me erase this stuff and continue the problem. Now let me consider the volume of the square pyramid B in the table, that is 5,488. Let me write it over here. That is a volume of square pyramid B equals to 5,488. So the formula to get volume of a pyramid is 1 over 3 times base area times height equals to 5,488. Okay, now let me multiply both sides of this equation by 3. Then this 3 will cancel out. Then we get base times height. So when I multiply this 5488 by 3, I am getting 16,464. Okay, here this capital B represents the base area, that is the area of the square base we have over here. To get the area of the square base, we have to multiply the side by side, that is lowercase b is multiplied by lowercase b, that is lowercase b square. And so for height, we have the value 56, so we can plug in 56 for h over here. B square times 56 equals to 16,464. Okay, now let me divide both sides of this equation by 56. Then this 56 will cancel out. Then I'm getting b square on the left side. When I divide this 16,464 by 56, I'm getting 294. Okay, now to solve for b, we have to get of this exponent 2. We have to take square root to get of the exponent 2 over here. Let me take square root on both sides of the equation. Okay, here the square root and square will cancel out, and usually when we take square root on both sides of an equation, one of the square root will cancel out, and for the other square root we have to consider positive or negative sign. But here on the left side we have b. This lowercase b represents the length of one of the sides of the square base over here. So the length of one of the square can now be negative. So we don't have to consider positive or negative. We can consider only positive sign for this one. Okay, here I got the value of b, that is a square root of 294. But our aim is to get the perimeter of the square base of the square pyramid. That is, we have to get the perimeter of this square base. For that, we have to multiply the length of one of the sides by 4, that is 4b. Okay, now let me multiply both sides of this equation by 4. Then I'm getting 4b on the left side. On the right side, I'm getting 4 times square root of 294. Okay, now what we can do is we can find the value of the square root of 294 using calculator. Then it has to be multiplied by 4. So when I do so, I'm getting 68.5857, and it's a long decimal. It keeps going on. According to the instruction we have over here, we have to round our answer to the nearest tenth. So we have to round this value to the nearest tenth. Then I'm getting 68.6. Therefore, the perimeter of the square base of square pyramid B is about 68.6 inches.